Hey, what's up, guys? Johnny the Body Man back at it again. I've got my 2000 Excursion. I'm working on the '08 nose swap. I've got the parts fitted up. Now I'm doing this without a kit. I'm just making the parts and pieces as I go. So I'm going to give you kind of a quick rundown of how I did it without using the kit that you can buy online. So I modified. You got to start, you strip it all down, you start at the cowl and work your way forward. So what I did is I modified these. You got to cut quite a bit of them off right here. So what I did is I set them on there. I cut all the tabs off of the bottom of them, set them on there, and then I just kind of marked them along the bottom. Use a marker or a crayon or whatever, and then I just lopped them off and just kept trimming them to make them fit. So they fit pretty decent right now. The reason they're sitting up right now is these hinges. So as far as let's start with the wiper arm here. Wiper arm goes, you got to swap that out of the new truck. You want to put it in the, you get one from an '08, you want to put it in this, and it bolts into the two top holes. I drilled a hole through here and made a spacer. I think I just used a 1/2-inch nut underneath there to hold that up and just nut and bolted it through. The wiper motor has 3 bolts in the front and there's one in the center here. Now this wiper motor was different than the other one. The where it bolts through was knurled on one of them, and the other one is like a square head on it with I don't know, it's a rectangular shape. So what I did is I had to this one has this motor is the one out of the other truck, the original truck. So it's a 2000, and then so what I did is I modified this plate with a little Dremel tool and just ground down each corner and made it a square or a rectangle shape in there where I needed it to fit, and it fit perfect. They work. So that's the deal with that. The hinges, as far as the hinges go, as you can see where they were originally bolted up. You see the circle there. So I reamed them out. You want to move these hinges as far forward as you can. I'm actually going to ream them a little bit more than this because I need to go forward another 1/4 of an inch or so. So when I do I'm going to tear it apart for just for paint to get the edge, all the edging done and everything on the fenders and the hood. And when I do that, I'll ream those out a little bit more, and then I'll paint the hinges again. You want to ream these holes as far forward as you can so that you can slide the hood as far forward as you can. And it'll give you a little more room to play with. I believe these bolts are bigger too, so you want to make those holes a little bit bigger. These are the factory hinges from the 2000. You want to use those. You don't want to use the ones off the D08. And the other reason that you need to move them as far forward as you can on the bottom is, as you can see, when I set this on there, it hits right here. So that's the other reason I want to move this forward a little bit more, and I think it'll clear okay when I put the struts on. So as far as the fender goes, I used 3 1/8-inch shims on the back, and then on the front I used 2 1/2-inch nuts, and they seem to work pretty good. That seems to give me the right spacing that I needed. I did have to ream these holes out. They're not pretty. They're pretty ugly. I'm going to try to do something about that before I paint it. So you got to ream them out as close to the inside of the fender as you can, because these fenders need to come in quite a ways to make them fit right. As far as the back of the fender goes, there's this original bolt hole here, or this original bracket that's part of the '08. I'm going to leave that there, and I'll probably zip a big self tapper in there, and then I made a bracket. I don't know if you can see it here. See, there's my bracket that I welded onto the fender. You can see my weld right there. So what I did is I just fit the fender on there, and I made a couple of marks about where that little bracket coming off of the truck is, and I welded a tab on there. It's about, I think, 2 inches by 2 inches, that tab. And what I did is that tab actually has like a little offset in it coming towards the seat. So towards the door, it's got to offset just a little bit so that it fits nice with that bracket, because that bracket's a little further this way. And then the bolt holes on the bottom line right up, no problem. And then as far as the grill goes, you got to kind of butcher up your radius support. I cut some pretty big holes in there to make that fit. I just kept working at it and working at it. The headlights, I cut these off here, cut them all the way down across, and then I made these brackets to make it fit. Just drew something out on some piece of cardboard and cut it out and used that as my template, and I cut them on the plasma cutter. And this one here, I had to make like an offset in it because this is a little further out than where you want this to sit. So it's got a little offset in, as you can see. And I just put that in a vise and hammered it around a little bit and made that offset. And then I just used big self-tappers on here. I think they'll hold it okay. If I'll just keep an eye on them. If they seem like they're loosening up or anything, I'll put some nutserts in there. I did the same thing on this side. Obviously the top here, I'll drill a hole and put something in there to hold this tab on, with some kind of a shim or something behind it. It ends up right on that curve. And then the bottom here, this just fits right up to your fender, no problem there. And then as far as the hood latch goes, all you got to do is move it forward 1.25 inches. 1.25 inches, 1 3/8, something like that. So what I did is I just used whatever parts I had kicking around. This is a piece of 7/8 unistrut. And this is just a piece of angle iron. And I welded the unistrut to the angle iron on the inside there, and that gave me 1.25 inches-ish. And then I trimmed the top here of this off the angle iron so that it would fit nice in there. And all I did was just drill holes through it and use longer bolts. And I'll just keep an eye on this. I'll run it for a little bit, see how it looks and see how it feels. If it seems like it's loosening up, I may modify it a little bit to stiffen it up. I could even tack weld. You know, you could put a little tack here on the bottom. So let me show you what it looks like with the hood now. Latch works pretty good. It didn't latch all the way, but so there it is. You can even, the way this grill is set up, it's got these tabs on the top, so which is great when you want to just fit things and see how things are fitting. Remind me. Here we go. It just rests right on the top there, and then boom, your front end's kind of assembled, and you can eyeball everything and make sure it looks good. So there you have it. That's the quick rundown of how to do it without buying the kit. It's not that difficult. It's fairly simple. So if you're somewhat mechanical and you got some stuff kicking around the shop that you can use to make it happen, go for it. Don't be scared. It's really not that difficult. Thanks for watching.